Right. So we've got the bumper back on here and the lights and bits and pieces just temporarily, obviously. So I got a piece of steel here that I think will do the job. How deep is that? Because probably what I'm going to do is this little cap piece here that's on it. What I want to do is probably, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I might end up using, building this piece into the end. So this is actually gone and the bolts, the nuts are actually on that instead of a separate piece, if you know what I mean. Or I'll just end up welding that to it and then just put the other piece over the top. We'll work that out shortly. So I'm just trying to get an idea. It's a bit over 100, about 4 inches deep, and just precise here. See, if I delete that piece, I basically can use this as a dimension. So it's at about 112 or about 4.5 inches. And then I don't really want it sticking out here much. Maybe like 1 inch off here, tops, but it'll have like a little gap. So it'll only be pretty thin, I'm thinking. I don't know, we'll work that out. And what I want to do is fold it a bit into here. I don't want it doesn't have to be too deep, if you know what I mean. What am I thinking? 30 mil, 25 mil, so about 1 inch or 1.25 inches, and at the top, something similar at the bottom, and then that basically has been a long piece. And then we will sit it on here and work out from here. So probably need to come along here about 2 inches, roughly, and bend it to come down here. So probably somewhere about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, start curling it around so it sits out here about, yeah, I'll come out here a little bit more. I'm just trying to work out off this, where this piece would sit, if you know what I mean. Yeah, 2 inches won't be enough. Now 3 inches is definitely too much, that's way out here. I would like to be, where do I want to be? About 2.5, somewhere around about there, I think. Just tell you, we'll just start curling it around and bring it out. And so what I'll end up doing is just making a straight piece. You might taper it in just a touch at the back. So what I might do is just say have it, whatever this is, 112 or about 1 inch and 4.5 inches. Maybe bring it back to 4 inches or just slightly under 4 inches at whatever length this is. So that slowly tapers back, and then we'll make it work from there. We'll just blend all the ends in and whatever. So it just, whatever it is from here back around to here is how much it tapers, and then we'll trim it off and cut it off and whatever. And we'll also do the same at the other end. I think that's a bit of a plan. It's only a hole, so I'm only going to have a hole through here, and then at some point there we'll basically get a bolt. A little bolt, or do I need it? I might do a nut. I might make a little bracket, put a nut insert in it, so you can reach up underneath behind the guard and put a bolt through there, and we can maybe just make a little rubber spacer or something, just so it's not metal on metal, if you know what I mean. I think that'll do, something like that. Right, so I cut the first piece, bent it. I did taper it in a little bit at the other end. So this is about 112, and I can't remember, about 90, I think. Yeah, about 90 on the inside. So we pulled it in about almost an inch. Probably was, might have been a little far, we'll see how it looks. I can always make another one, you know what I mean? So I think what I'm going to do now is, this is the top. I left the square edge and put this one slightly tapered up. I'm hoping that'll work, if you know what I mean. I think what I'll do here is I'll mark out here 40 mils, or whatever that works out to be in inches. And then I'll start curling it round, and we'll have to obviously just do some pie slices and cut some shit out, and we'll slowly radius it round. Try and get a nice little soft radius so it's not too sharp, if you know what I mean. And we'll try and get it to the shape, and we'll probably have to trim this off, which is I'm totally expecting, but I want to try and get it round and then thin it out, if you know what I mean. I'd like to try and get it round that corner, and then once it's got around that corner, then we'll taper it back to, I don't know, probably about half of that. That's what I'm thinking. But what I would like to be about maybe about that far off there, the guard fender, whatever you want to call it. Maybe a little bit less than that, if you know what I mean, like total. From, so if this was touching to here, maybe bring it in a little bit further than that, the total distance, but have I don't know, like say 3/8 or a little bit less, in between 3/8 and a quarter off the panel. That's what I'm thinking. So, a couple of quick measurements on here. Because what I would like to have it sticking out, so if this is the front edge of the bumper coming along here, I don't want it any further out than about here by the time I get it rolled around. So I like this here to be about that shape by the time it's round there, if you know what I mean. If you kind of get the drift. So when this here is rolled around, I would like it to be that shape and then obviously down that way. So I'm going to have to take quite a bit out of here. I'm just trying to think how I'm going to do this. What I might be better off to do is cut something close to that in here, and or maybe back a little bit and trim this along here. It's just a few little slices in it, and just slowly bring it around until it works, and just keep trimming it back until I know whatever that distance is roughly, if you know what I mean. There we go. Using a frickin' carpenter's ruler because it was the first thing I grabbed. Yeah, so it's going to be about 40 along here. Should I need about clear material, if you know what I mean. Just at a rough guess before it meets back up with here. What I'll do is I'll trim this along here. I'll come inside that line for a start off. So just get here somewhere, so I still get a nice little bit of radius that I bent this twice to get a softer radius to try and match the bumper. And we'll cut this in here somewhere so we can fold it around, and we'll just have a few little slices this edge, and we can blend it all together with the welder. Also, what do we do here? We have to do down here. Something like that anyway.
What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see.
Righty. I just popped it out on there and I went to grab the marker and I'm just walking back across here and I hate it. What I might do is actually flip it onto the other side. I don't like how I tapered it up thinking it might look better, but I don't know. Obviously it's way too big yet. Our bolt hole is, see I don't ever want to go much past here. So the bolt hole is there, so like I'm talking finishing it here type thing. Yeah, I wouldn't say I don't hate it, but I don't know, I just don't know if I tapered it in too much, maybe. That's a possibility. Maybe when it's smaller and finer in, it mightn't look so bad. I might pull it off and we'll flip it and put it on the other side and just see if it looks better or worse. I might have to straighten that up and make another one. Like obviously this is a test fit, and like I said, I only want it sticking out probably to here somewhere. I want it pretty tight in, so I'll cut this away and we'll move it in. I'll see, we might have to like it's not sitting anywhere near where it needs to be, if you know what I mean. Let's poke it on here and just have a wee nosy. From there. Sit that on there. Kinda. Actually probably fits better on there anyway. If we get back here far enough. Yeah, I might work on this side and just see. The biggest problem is I can't get the fucking thing far back now. I might just grab a seat and we'll sit back here a little bit. It doesn't actually look as weird as what it does on that side. Just, unfortunately I can't get very far back. Because it's actually slightly kicked in that way anyway, the piece I've narrowed it down actually kind of sits flattish. But we can manipulate a little bit yet. I might keep working on this one, tuck it in and trim it down and maybe fold the end in. It's unfortunate I haven't got a welder. Well, I've got welder, but I just haven't got gas yet. I need to find out when he's going to be here, otherwise I might just get the missus to go and fucking get it. Otherwise it's going to be a pain in the ass. I don't want to be sitting here all day waiting on a fucking gas bottle again. Yeah, we might trim it back so it sits further in, and smuck around a couple of things, shorten it up. Need to cut it. I'll tuck it in. We'll get it tucked in and then we'll work out what angle I want to cut this off at, if you know what I mean. It might be just kind of looking at it here. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe see, I don't know, kind of needs to be like that, I feel, but I'm not sure on that. You know what I mean? Or do we cut it square, like, see how that looks like it's pointing upward? Maybe just cut it slightly square so it's not quite so tapered back, but not that extreme, like maybe somewhere in between. I don't know. We'll mark again where that freaking hole is. Can I see? So that piece is there, so I'm going to come back to at least, I don't know if you can see where that dimple is, so we need to come back to about here to clear. maybe something like that, if you know what I mean. But obviously sucked in more. We'll muck around with it a little bit, yeah, and we'll just see what we can come up with. I think this fits better on this end than the other way. I was thinking the other way, but I'll better test fit it back on the other end anyway, because we'll end up with it reasonably sort of symmetrical, but they won't be quite, if you know what I mean. Alright, we'll keep playing.
Dangerous times, don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind. Flying, get on board. We're soaring on top of the world. Flying, get on board. We're soaring on top of the world.
Righty, so yeah, we're just been cutting, hacking, twisting, bending. I open this back out a little bit, so this is a little bit steeper angle, so I can sort of tweak it around the corner and have it tuck a bit tighter in. So I'm just going to trim this back a little bit further, and then I'm going to decide whether I'm going to cut it through here and actually step it in a little bit. Just trying to decide on that, whether I just to mimic the other part of the bumper, or either just step it here. Maybe it's just step this piece in and then blend it out. I haven't decided yet, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the thought is possibly wherever that cut is, or that step is, like cut it through here, and where I split it here, bring it back to here, and then blend it out and just bend that, step that in a little bit, so it fits the bottom. That's my thinking, but I'm not 100% sure where that's meant to be, if you know what I mean. We'll go test this on again. A little step like that, we'll just weld that up and blend it in, and then have nothing around the edge, and I think that'll just tie it in. I think we'll go do a final test fit, but I think that's kind of the last bit before I can start welding up, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I think something like that'll work. Yeah, like I can make this a wee bit more like that at the time when we're doing the final blend and, you know, filling in all the missing blanks. I'm very tempted to add it, just weld it straight to the bumper. clean it up and grind it up and just blend it all in, if you know what I mean, make it all one piece. I think that'll work. And with tilting that down a little bit, that sort of blends the subtle taper in. Just splitting that and kicking that down. I like it. I do. I just wonder what it's going to look like painted like black. It's the only thing I'm wondering, whether it'll be too much if it's black, but it's not my problem at the end of the day. We'll just have to work out. No, we'll have to make a little filler to build in here to blend that in and weave it, but I think that'll work quite nicely. I like it. I like it a lot. Righto, so I'm just in the midst of starting to shape the second one. So obviously I can use this as my guide and my template, which is pretty simple, you know. All I gotta do, I knew what that first measurement was because I already cut it down, so I just did the same, bent that in, rolled that round, and then everything else we can sort of do from off this. And I mean, like, we've got to split it the opposite way and whatever, and tweak it in and bend things in and whatever. So yeah, just a matter of getting it done. That's right, yeah, I was trying to work out what I did there, but yeah, when I cut it around there I split it and just pulled that piece in without pulling the bottom in. Yeah, and all sorts of just funny little bits and pieces like that. And then yeah, once we've got our gas bottles, which I just got sitting outside the door and just waiting on Mrs. to come with a car. Yeah, we'll hers is, her little vehicle's just out of fuel, so she borrowed mine, until I can get another couple of little jobs finished and get some more cash in the bank. And I'll have to, because I don't want to hit this guy up with too much yet with the final bill until I've, you know, sort of what the hours are, because I'm going to try and get some front tyres on the missus's car too with doing this job, you know, as part painting for the last little bit, since he owns a tyre shop. And I think the tyres are about a couple $100 each, so $800 for some tyres and maybe another couple of grand, so just to clean things up. It's kind of what I'm thinking at this point, but we'll just see how far, you know, by the time we finish these and blend that stuff in. And we've still got to block that out and paint it yet, but I want to get this done so I can give it back to the dude. I was hoping to have my gas, like I would have had these freaking here done by now. Pain in the ass, because I've only got to tack that piece on there, basically, and weld these pieces in. But it's not that much work, but it's, you know, still like fucking, I don't know, a couple of hours screwing around. Plus, I mean, it would have been nice to have this done and there and could have had some cash in the bank now, instead of just waiting on a little bit. Anyway, we'll catch you later on. Morning, welcome back. So, trying to think what I'm going to do this morning. So we got those pieces for the duck finished yesterday, and finally back to the owner. That seat base and that other drive shaft tube. So I think what I'm going to do this morning is get that other bumper end dialed in quickly, get it trimmed up, and now that I've got some gas, I'll just get them tacked together and we'll get them semi-fitted, I think. I don't want to spend too long, maybe an hour or so, and then I want to get into blocking that thing out. So once I've got them fitted, then I can carry on getting that painted. And once it's painted and I'm starting to put it back together, I can finish the bumper. You know, we can weld it together and blend it and whatever else. I just want to get those ends made so they can be, we can get it tacked together, if you know what I mean. And then I can finish it off later on, if you know what I mean. It's kind of what I'm thinking. But while we're at this point and got the front end together, I might as well get both ends fitted and go from there, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so kind of get this other end to this sort of stage. What I'll probably do is, now that I've got some gas, I'll go around, I'll tack this together a bit better. Just put a few more tacks in it and whatever, and just burn it a bit more solid, more semi-solid, if you know what I mean. Just in case we change anything. And I would like to, I might have a hunt through my nuts and bolts and see if I can find something that I can make up a little bracket and bolt it onto there. And what do you want to call it? Like tack weld the bracket onto the back. Now I'll just use a bit of scrap, a bit of cut off, something like that, and just fold up something and weld a nut in there or whatever, or use use my riv nut tool and riv nut a nut in there that we can put a bolt in there and build a couple of little spaces or something like that. Just briefly do that this morning, hopefully not take too long, because I want to get that blocked out so I can get the next lot of primer on it and then get it painted. Otherwise I'm going to be here another freaking week. It's Thursday. Yeah, it's a pain about, well, it was pain just running out of gas when I did, and not being able to get the bottle fast enough, if you know what I mean. It wouldn't have made a lot of difference, but it sort of slowed me up a little bit because I couldn't just get into the things I wanted to get done. So I think what we'll do is we'll come over here, now we've got the lights on, and find a couple of bolts, and yeah, we'll go from there, I think. Right, so what I'm going to do, they're 8mm. So in that tailgate in the cardboard panel, it was weird. I don't know why it was like that. It should have had like plastic clips or something. And I'm guessing you'll probably go back to something like that. But there was a whole heap of these 8mm bolts in these big holes instead of somebody using plastic clips at some point. They must have just found a hole with a heap of these bolts and just screwed them in there. Like there's no thread in there. It's just where it wound into the steel, if you know what I mean. So I pinched a couple of them and some 8mm riv nuts, and I think that'll work perfect for in here. We can just put a washer behind a little spacer, and by the time we squeeze that riv nut up, I think that'll be perfect. We'll just make a little bracket out of some 2mm. So I think what I'll do is we'll get this shaped to this point, and then we will suss out we'll suss out the distance off the panel that this roughly is, and then if it's not 100%, it doesn't matter, we can find some little washers or some little space. We'll make something work anyway. So your handy kit, it just at some point I need to order myself a pile of these and make up some little bins, or get a half decent box. That's what I need to do, is I need to get one of those, like, get a bigger divider, one of those big divider boxes, sort of that sort of size that I can get, 20 or, well, not so much some of the bigger ones, but get, so like some of the small ones I've got a decent amount of them, like there's 6mm and whatever, like, because I've got, maybe 30 or 40 of them in there, and then some of the bigger ones just, a decent handful, if you know what I mean. So if I do want them, so I need to do something like that at some point to just get a decent collection of those and have them handy, you know what I mean. Maybe even get a box of metric and a box of imperial or whatever, just so I've got them, always got them. Anyway, we'll get into that. Right, now we've got that this far, so we are basically the same as this one, except for this piece. I was just going to copy it straight over, and I thought, nah, I'll go sit it on the other end, and at least then I can mark it compared with the other one, just in case for some reason it sits weird and it doesn't quite correspond one to the other, if you know what I mean. Just in case. So in theory, they're basically the same now. We'll just, like I said, we're just going to cut this and tuck that back a touch. That's why I haven't welded this down here. And yeah, we'll get them. They're pretty much the same. I don't think most people by the time I'm finished, like I'm going to add a little filler in here and weld it all up and grind it all up, and then probably, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but it probably will end up welding it to the bumper as well. But what I'll have to do is I'll have to get that off, and I'll have to clean up the end and the ends of it and grind it up so I can join them on, if you know what I mean. So we'll go test fit this on, we'll mark our final cut, and then we can kind of go from there, and then we'll whip up a little bracket to work out what we're going to do to bolt. Put that little bracket on here and tack it in here and weld it on, if you know what I mean. I may end up, what we might do is get really close and maybe just bang a couple of quick holes through here, so that in the rough vicinity, and then obviously when we make the little bracket, we make it wide enough, we'll be able to catch it and just burn it in, and then we can tidy it up later on, if you know what I mean. So just so we're in the closely into the right spot, and I may even better sit these in place and possibly even like put a Tech screw through or something like that. We'll see how that pans out. We'll work that out when we get on there. Yeah, because once I've got that little bracket made, I can, I should be able to squeeze up that riv nut, bolt that on, and then we hopefully be able to just put a couple of Tech screws or something through there, or at least one to hold it in place, or we might even just better roll the welder over there and just put a couple of zaps on so the bracket won't fall off, and then we can burn it in and weld it on. But we'll go sort that front edge out first. Right, so this is the side that I've already split here at the front. I'm just still contemplating whether I might tuck it, actually cut it at the bottom, and just peel it under a little bit. I'm not worried about the top section, but just that bottom section, maybe just, if I cut it at the bottom, where it's already been split, and just peel it back just a hair. And I quite like this the way it sits. I'm pretty happy with that. It kind of finishes where the the corner light finishes, just goes a sneak past there. So we'll just have a look at the other side, and we'll just see whether everything's sort of lining up, and I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. What I might do is take two photos just to compare them side to side. I want them to be as close as possible, if you know what I mean. But yeah, because we haven't split that, I think if we, again, split it like the other one, and yeah, we'll tuck it in and just peel the bottom of it back a little bit. I'm happy with that sort of that first transition, but I think it's too square. But I think if we just cut it and follow that first piece, and then yeah, pull the other piece back and just angle it down a little bit, I think that'll just blend in really nice. Alright, so we're a couple of hours in this morning now, so I'm kind of still fitting this one. We actually did the little brace that comes from here that picks up the top part of the bumper, and there's like that strap that comes down there. I actually deleted the strap that come down there. So it's got the little tab that's on the top that bolts through, I think. Might bolt through from the front. Where's it bolt through? Yeah, bolts through here. So the strap that come down there like that, I just deleted it and undone it in the meantime. So what I've done is I've added some material into here and bolted that at the bottom. Now, so what I'll do eventually is we'll drill some holes in here and we'll plug weld this to that other piece once we clean it up, and probably from the inside we'll burn it on as well. So I think I need to trim this back a little bit here to get this to fit with enough clearance, and I'm kind of happy with how this sits. I think it's pretty good. I've got a little bit of movement down the bottom, but it's kind of tight, if you know what I mean. But I think I'm pretty happy with generally. You might want to tweak it up a little bit. I might better manipulate it a little bit, like on that bottom bracket if I loosen it. Maybe enlarge the hole slightly, just so I can maneuver it around. But I think we're kind of in place, so I might be able to, if I hook the wheel around one direction, I might be able to get in there and just puff a bit of, like I said, etching behind and get it to spray onto the back of here so we can see where that bolt hole is in relation to this piece. And then I've also split this here again and tucked this piece in to try and mimic this, to kind of give it that look, if you know what I mean. And then obviously I just blended it out just here, sort of stopped it here, and then this sort of stops here, and then it'll be nothing. It's kind of what I'm going for, just so it kind of mimics what's going on here. I think that works. It's about as, at this point, it's about as good as what it's going to get, if you know what I mean. Obviously without doing finishing work. But yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. I'm pretty happy with that. I might send a picture to the owner and just see what he thinks, and go from there, if you know what I mean, just to get his approval on the end of whether he's happy with something like that. You know, obviously we're going to fill this in here and we'll pull this back a little bit here, just a tick. Obviously when we do the other side we'll see how that fits. I might better, I don't know. Yeah, no, I think I'm pretty happy with how that sits. Just trying to see whether maybe I need to pull this back. No, I think I just need to grow that in a little bit and then just blend it back into here. Maybe bring it in half an inch, maybe touch more, and just bring it around the corner. I might go get a marker and just draw a wee line down here so I can see where that's got to come off, and then draw a mark on here where I want to blend that back into the other piece again. Just add a little extra in there, if you know what I mean. By the time we've like welded it all up and cleaned it all up and built it all up on the inside and attached these pieces, or that piece definitely to it, that one there's just a hole anyway, so it just bolts on, and then we're just going to put a wee mount in here, and yeah, and then make that decent. Also we'll have to grind all the chrome off and obviously weld it all up and then do some body work on it. Right, so we got a little bumper bracket made for this end, but I think what I need to do, because I just bent it 20mm by 20mm by I think 30 by 2020, basically, roughly. But I think what I need to do is, I'm just trying to decide, cut the, I might just cut the uprights off and then just pull this back in another 5 and just let this sit back in, and we might just spray a wee bit of paint on here, and then just when we put it on, see if we can get a good scratch to see where it is, and then we can just see whether that's going to fit, and then we can tack it on and test it again and then weld it up, at least weld it on. I was hoping to just drill a couple of holes through here and then just spot weld it on with the welder, but yeah, you might have to just alter those. They're just out too far. I thought it mightn't have been too bad, but it's a bit far. I was sort of guesstimating, if you know what I mean. But the riv nut will actually give us a nice little standoff, so it's not actually marking the panel too, which is good. But yeah, we'll just have to suck it in a little bit. It's out too far. Yeah, so this is what I made. So it's obviously too far, so I'll just trim, I don't know, I might just trim it off about here and here, and then just do a quick remeasurement and just grab it with a pair of pliers or something and just see if I can bend that around, just so maybe I can get a rough idea where it is, and again, still just
spot weld it on afterwards, if you know what I mean, and get a decent couple burning, and we'll probably weld it around it anyway. But yeah, it's what we end up with, something like that, but just not quite that deep. And that's a 8mm, which is the same as the rest of the bumper bolts. So 8mm thread, 12mm head. Right, so yeah, basically all I did is I just cut it off just at that bend, or slightly on the bend, if you know what I mean. And then I just actually sat it in the vise and sort of just pinched it at a roughly about the depth of that riv nut with a little bit spare, if you know what I mean. And then just used my hammer and just held my hand and behind it. I'll film this properly when I do the other one. The first one's always the trial and error, and then try and film the second one to show what you're making. But yeah, basically just kind of nipped it up a little bit in the vise, sort of held my hand in behind it, and then just used the other hammer just to start bending that over, and then just finished it off like that, if you know what I mean. So we'll go test that now, and I think we should be pretty good. At least then we'll have a bit of an idea where it needs to be. So I can get a bit of an eyeball, and we can hopefully drill a couple of holes through here to at least get a spot weld on it for start off, if you know what I mean, or a plug weld or something like that, and then we can freaking really burn it in. Right, I'm pretty happy with that fitment. I quite like that gap. I need to bring the pen over here. I drilled some holes in that line in the end. What I need to do is move them over here about, I think the bracket's just on the edge of it, if you know what I mean, like it's probably just here. You look down in there, I don't know if you can see that or not. And I'll take the phone another way. You might better see. Anyway, you get the idea anyway. Yeah, I think it's just in here, so what I'll do is I'll drill a couple of holes in here, at least then I can put a mark on wherever that sits, and I just want to mark here where I want to transition a piece into here to fill that gap, and then we'll be good. I'm happy with the rest. I'm happy with that gap. Now we can blend that all in, whatever. It doesn't matter if the gap's slightly bigger at the back, the bottom. I think that's pretty decent, if you know what I mean. Or, you know, it can be moved in and out a little bit at the bottom, so. But I think that's pretty much spot on. I'm really friggin' stoked with that. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I think that's pretty smart. I'll just go grab my marker. We'll mark that. And actually what I'll do is I'll take it off. I'll go drill a couple of holes now and bring my marker back. I'll bang a hole in here and here because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, bolt's about here somewhere. So it's about where that is. So if I put a mark, drill a hole in here and here, but we get a weld, and it doesn't matter shit if they get an extra couple of holes in here at this point. We can put that in there, and then I can mark where that piece is, and then I can burn that on, and then we can, you know, put some extra weld in there to hold that bracket on so it won't break off. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll go drill a couple of holes and bring the marker back, mark that. We can mark that placement, and go from there. So I only have to undo that bolt, so we'll do that. There's my bolters down here somewhere. Get on. So we can leave that in place. I don't even have to touch that. Except we might just square it up just slightly. Just twist it around. Kind of square too. Well, it's not going to matter much. We can jiggle it a little bit. But yeah, we'll just drill a couple of holes. We'll make sure we bring that pen back. And we'll go from there. Kind of a swing and a miss, but they're actually just up there. I should have been just a little bit higher. But that's fine. I can actually see them. So I know where. If you tweak it up a little bit, you can just see the edges of them. So I kind of know where it is. So I must have really, a hole needs to be here and up here, but that is what it is. So I know where it's meant to be now. I have got a mark on one of them, so we'll go see if we can tack it on, see if it'll fit on, and then we'll go from there. Right, so taking that off, so yeah, that's the way up it was. So you can see where I've just drawn those marks in there, where it's where I managed to touch it with the pen through the holes, if you know what I mean. So we weren't far away, we were just a little low. That's fine. Don't matter, we can weld holes. All we need to do is, so now roughly it needs to be somewhere like that, basically. So we should better just hold that there and put a couple of tacks on that and go test fit it again. And then we can just weld everything up later on, if you know what I mean. So we were borderline missing one of those too, if you know what I mean. You know what I'll do, I'll put a couple of welds on there and a couple of half decent welds on that so it won't break off, and we'll go do a final test fit.
I wanna taste the pain. I think I'm seeing all red. 2 bullets in the gun, 1 shot to the head. I need a blank space. 'Cause everything is a threat. But I never back down, man. I'd rather be dead. I'm making love to fate.
Yep, perfect. Fits awesome. So yeah, now we're just going to mimic that on the other side, and I'll just mark me wee spot, put me filler, and weld it all together. And obviously weld it to the other, weld that little other piece to it as well, with the bolt hole, and basically should be able to put the bumper all in one hit, in theory. Because I don't think you can't get into the bolt, this one. So it'll have to go on in one piece, but you know what I mean. That's no biggie. Right, so we've got our extra piece on this other bumper end, like on here. Obviously they look a bit ugly at the moment. We're still in the early stages of obviously fabricating, but by the time we weld everything up and grind everything up and dress everything up, and like it's got to be welded here, there and everywhere, and fill all the gaps and the blanks. But so I'd open this hole up, just split that so it's got a little bit of movement in and out. I've drilled a couple of holes in here, which should be the rough location of this. I've made that, it's sitting on the car, and I've cut and split this, but I haven't welded it up. And I remembered part way when I was doing that I'd actually cut, originally split it and pulled it back, and then once this was welded here and I cut that, I realised I wanted to tuck it back some more, so I've done that a bit more. Obviously we haven't tested it on the car since I've done all these things, but I'm going to do that after lunch, and I'll just have a quick clean up, get rid of some of these hairy bits out of here, and bring the ear over here and just nick that through there and just open that hole up a little bit, so we can get the bolt in there, and we've got a little bit of to and fro, and then we should be able to bolt that up and yeah, push it into place and get this positioned with that bracket that's on there, and just put a couple of dots on the bracket so we know roughly where it's meant to be, and we can tack it on there and test fit it again like that, and yeah, we'll go from there. So yeah, I'll just quickly show you that there's brackets on the car. Not that's much to see, but pretty simple little thing. Just got it sitting on the front guard there. So I quickly bent it up and put the nuts through it before, and it's just sort of loosely done up there at the moment, so we can play with it and move it around. So yeah, so we're basically ready to go, and then eventually we will weld what's left of that piece that I cut off the other day, wherever the rest of it is. I think over there. We will weld that onto or into the other piece, and obviously the same on the other end. Yeah, we'll weld that onto the other one. So it's got like a stud that goes through there, and that's where that bracket bolts onto, and the other one's just the bolt goes up through, so that goes through the bumper. That's that piece that I'm putting, the extra tab which I got to open up. Yeah, and then once we've got that sorted, we can pull this off, and we'll start sanding the back of the car. We've got a couple of little pieces that knock back down in here too, that I poked a little bit more in here, and a little bit more in here. and a couple other little dashes on the door. Just wasn't happy when I was blocked that out. There was still a couple little marks in there. So yeah. But yeah, I thought while I was waiting on that to dry, I pulled that bumper off, and I thought, oh, I might as well get into that other bit and get it fitting. So I might as well pull the door down and bugger off and go have some lunch and then come back. Since I don't have any facilities in here to cook, not easily anyway. Wonder if I ever get the place a bit more sorted out, and I don't know, if he ever decides he's going to build, I think he's going to build a 3-bay shed down there. That's what he was talking about 12 months ago, that he was thinking about doing that. Then he could have all his gear out of here, and I could have the whole shed. I don't know if that's ever going to happen or not. Otherwise, at some point, I'll have to find myself a decent workshop. Something actually a little bit bigger than this would be perfect. It doesn't need to be a lot bigger, because I don't want to have 20 fucking cars in here, but if I had enough room to work on probably 4 or 5 at one hit, and obviously have enough room for a bit of a spray booth and maybe a halfway office or something, would be perfect. But yeah, just depends, we'll see where things lead over the next 12 months, whatever. See how the YouTube thing goes and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully, all these things will start coming together shortly. Alright, I'm getting there. I've done a couple more alterations. It didn't fit right with trying to match it up exactly to the other side, which is self-explanatory. I had the piece I put underneath with the hole in it, I had to cut that and pull it back this way a bit so I could get that to sit around a bit further. I've got the piece tacked on and behind now, but I'm halfway tempted to the bottom piece kick it back a little bit. Like I've kicked it back like the other side, but it just doesn't look the same. Worst thing is I can't get this here. Looks more tucked back, kind of like the rest of the bumper. It just, where are we? This bottom bit. It just looks better on this side. At the other side, it looks like it's trying to do this, even though it's probably not, if you know what I mean. I think it's just the way it's sitting. I'll grab a chair on. Sit down. Yeah, I don't know if you can see what I mean. I'll zoom in a little bit. Just seems to be sitting. It is back a little bit, but I think it just needs to come back a whisker. Like, I don't know, like an 1/8. Just that piece, just pull it back a wee bit more. I've sat the pen in on top of that piece to get an eyeball from the other side to see whether, like, basically the gap at the front of the light is basically the width of that, and there's like probably a 1/4 inch or a bit more at the back of where that black piece tapers back underneath there, and it's pretty much the same on the other side. So like this piece, like I'm pretty sure is sitting about the same. That's the worst thing, that box being there. I would like to be able to sit back about with tractors just to get a decent look at it, but I think it's sitting the same. I'll go around the other side and have another wee look. I'm sure it's sitting the same. I'm just trying to. The bike wasn't here. I'm going to push it back a little bit. The biggest problem is I can't get in a similar position to have a better look, if you know what I mean. So that'll drag the car across so I can just get down there a wee bit better. Just to make sure it is lying the same, but I'm pretty sure it is. If I stick this in here, touches here, and it's what, that 1/4 inch there, 5 mil, 1/4 inch there, roughly. Actually, if I go like that, so the lid is about the corner there, and we've got about 1/4 inch. I'm just trying to make sure it's as close as it can be to the same, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's roughly the same. Like, it's about the same distance back, within a whisker or two. Like, you can't look at both sides at the same time, but if there's something really badly out of place, then you'll pick it. But if it's pretty close, I just think, I'm pretty sure it's about the same. I just think I need to tuck that bottom piece in a little bit more, which is a pain in the ass, but I don't want to have to, because that means I've got to try and keep the bottom bumper hole in the same place, but curl that back a little bit. I'll pull it off one more time and just have a wee look, see if I can bring it back without altering things too much. I don't want to shift that hole. Oh, I'm just trying to work out my next little issue I'm seeing. This end here is sitting further out on the other side, and I'm just trying to work out where the difference is, or whether it's just the whole bumper is further one way, if you know what I mean. I thought I'd solved that problem, but maybe I hadn't. So I'm just trying to line that 100 up on the about where the light ends, like the blinker light or corner light, whatever you want to call it, and it's sitting about 75 on the join, or no, not 75, yeah, borderline 73, 75, somewhere around about there, and then the bumper pokes out at the other end at about 20. So I have a ruler, we'll go the other way. It's a bit awkward to do. Oh, we'll fold it out. I don't know why I'm using this stupid ruler, but anyway, just what I can find quickly. Bumper it's further this way, isn't it? It is further this way. For some reason it's not centre. I was just trying to work out what the difference was. Yeah, bumper's still, for some reason, it's hanging. Oh, yeah, it's one way or the other. I think, yeah, it might be this way, which is a pain. I thought I had that solved, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, because that cut is not. Well, that one's not far away though, is it? Yeah, I don't know. Mind you, if you had the imbalance though, from what this edge here, could probably go that way a little bit. That would help balance things out. Alright, I trimmed that a little bit, tucked it in. I managed to squeeze a little bit out of the bumper. Probably can put if I put a bar in the between the gaps, I can probably manipulate a little bit. But I trimmed this one in a little. Just took an 1/8 an inch off there, pulled it in. I didn't have to alter the hole at the bottom. There was enough slot in that, and just tucked it in, tightened it up, and just trimmed this a wee bit finer. Just took a little bit off it and cleaned it up. So yeah, at some point we'll have to put just a little bit of fill in there just to clean that up. It probably doesn't really need it quite so much as the other side, but I think it's because the bumper is just not sitting in. It might have to space it out a little bit. I think I actually was going to do that, and I haven't done that. Might do that. Actually, might put a washer in there and do that, because I think I was going to do that. Now that I'm just thinking about it, so yeah, I might quickly do that too. Because it's actually nice and even along here, and then it's a bit tucked in that corner, but that's fine. It is what it is. I think there's plenty of movement in the mounts. I think I'll be done with it now and take it off, so I can get all this front end stuff off, and then I can start sanding and getting this rear end sorted. Start blocking out the rear end and just sit these on panel stands or whatever, so I can finish sanding them too. Get some stuff dialed in and go from there. I think that'd do. Yeah, and we can just fill all the gaps and slits and whatever, and blend it all together and weld it up, and obviously do the same in that stuff. And then try and tear the worst of the chrome off and body work it. Smear a filler and whatever in a bit of a hammer and dolly and blend her out. I think it should be fine. Yeah, it probably just needs to come out a whisker at that other corner. Might just put a couple of washes in that mount down here. Just put a couple of spaces in there just to pull that out a little bit. There should be enough play in that bolt hole, I think. I might try it before I pull it off, but yeah. I think we're good now. I'm happy enough that I can finish, a wee bit later on. I might just tack. Yeah, probably don't need to be quite in that far. We'll just have to build a couple of fillers for the corners and whatever. And that's all we really need to do. Shouldn't be too difficult. I can see where that mark is. If we just keep it back, I might put another mark on there and just keep it back from here a little bit. Some running markers here. Yeah, so we pull this back a little bit. We'll just put a little bit extra in there just so you can't see this hole. Just to bring it back the same width as the bumper basically. Yeah, we'll just bring this back a little bit further. So it'll be through there. I think that'll do. Yeah, it's just a matter of filling all the holes and blend it together and blending it up and get that other little mount piece that goes down through the bumper, weld that to it as well. And we should be golden. Yeah, and just at some point grab the blinker indicator lights and pop them in there and just see how they fit, just to do a final little bit of modelling around the bottom of there. But I can do that I don't have to do that on the vehicle. I can just do that with everything bolted together. I think that'll work. Right, let's pull this thing apart.